The battlefield had gone completely silent. What once stood as a thriving city was now nothing more than rubble and smoke. The wind gently sweeping through the ruins, as if trying to erase what had just happened. High above it all, Goku floated in the air, motionless, looking down at what had happened. The golden glow of his Super Saiyan form had long faded. Now there was nothing left but exhaustion etched into his body. He stared down at the destruction beneath him, his eyes lingering on the empty battlefield. The fight was over, Frieza was gone, yet this didn't feel like a victory. Yamcha, Raditz, and even Krillin, they were all gone. Goku's fist tightened slightly, but no anger came. He had no rage left, and just like that, his body trembled for a moment, and then, without warning, everything gave out. Goku's vision blurred as he collapsed from the sky, his body unconscious, falling towards the ruined earth below. Darkness surrounded him. At first, there was nothing, no sound, feeling, just an endless void. Then, slowly, a voice broke through. "Goku?" His eyes opened quickly. The first thing he saw was the familiar ceiling. Then shapes began to form around him, faces. Chi-Chi leaned close, her expression filled with worry. Gohan stood beside her, eyes filled with relief. Behind them, Bulma, Tien, and Piccolo watched in silence. For a brief moment, no one spoke. Then, Goku lowered his gaze. "I'm sorry." His voice was quiet, almost fragile. "I couldn't save them." The room fell into silence, the weight of his words settling over everyone present. Tien stepped forward with a serious expression, but not harsh. "You did everything you could," he said. "We all saw it." Goku didn't respond. His hands tightened slightly against the sheets. Tien continued. "But staying stuck on that won't help anyone. Not them and not us." Goku's gaze wandered up, facing him once more. "What do you mean? What should I do then?" Before Tien could answer, Piccolo spoke, with a much colder tone. "Before I killed one of Frieza's soldiers, he said something. He called me a Namekian." Goku frowned. "Namekian?" Piccolo nodded. "At first, I didn't know what that meant either, so I went to Kami. He didn't deny it. He told me that there was a connection, that he wasn't originally from Earth and came from a faraway planet." The room grew quieter. "And if there's a planet called Namek, then there's a chance the Dragon Balls didn't originate here," Piccolo said. The realization began to settle in, and if that's true, then there could be another set out there, Bulma said, stepping in, placing a hand on her hip. "And we are already working on it." "Working on what?" Goku asked. "Frieza's ship," she replied. "My dad and I have been modifying it. We should be able to get it space ready soon." Gohan stepped forward, his hands clenched with determination. "We can bring them back, right, Dad?" Goku looked at him, then at the others. For the first time since waking up, his expression softened. "Yes, we will," he said quietly. The following days were spent recovering, but not resting. The wounds began to heal, but the memories of the battle lingered in everyone's mind. No one said it out loud, but they all understood the same thing. The next enemy could be even stronger, so they trained, out of necessity. Every moment, every strike, every movement was focused on becoming stronger than they were before. And Goku in particular trained to control the Super Saiyan transformation. A few days later, the ship was ready. Bulma moved quickly around the controls, finishing the last adjustments as the engines began to hum to life. Outside, the group gathered near the entrance. Chi-Chi held Gohan onto a tight hug, clearly unwilling to let him go. "You're not going," he said firmly. Gohan hesitated, but didn't back down. "Mom, I have to." It's not like Gohan knew them very well, besides Krillin, who spent a few days with them during the training. However, he still wanted to be useful. He wanted to help his dad, and help everyone, for that matter. As such, Goku stepped forward. "I'll protect him." There was a long pause. Chi-Chi's expression softened slightly, though the worry never left her eyes. "You better," she said quietly, finally letting go. And with that, the group boarded the ship. Moments later, it launched into the sky, tearing through the clouds and leaving Earth behind. The journey through space lasted only a couple weeks, but not a single day was wasted. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was intense. Training became their routine, pushing their bodies to their limits over and over again. By the time they neared their destination, all of them had grown significantly stronger. Goku's base power had risen to 300,000. Piccolo had reached 500,000, still the strongest amongst them when talking about base power. Tien followed at 250,000, having pushed himself further than ever before. And then there was Gohan. At 40,000, he was still the weakest, but the rate at which he was improving was undeniable. In just a couple weeks, he had made progress that would take to others much longer. Piccolo watched him closely, already understanding the immense potential he had. Soon, a green planet filled their view. Vast oceans, scattered islands, and an unfamiliar sky stretched before them. This was Namek. The ship landed smoothly, and the group stepped out, immediately drawing attention from the surrounding Namekians. At first, there was tension and suspicion, but as word spread that they had defeated Frieza, the atmosphere shifted. The Namekians relaxed, their expressions turning to relief and gratitude. They welcomed the group. The Z-Warriors were soon brought before the village elder. A wise old Namekian stood before them. "We once had a great elder," he explained, "but he passed not long ago. Still, I am now the elder of this world. What do you seek here?" he asked, his gaze falling on Piccolo, the only one of the group who shared the race to him. A brief silence followed. "We are here for the Dragon Balls," Piccolo said. Then the group explained everything that had happened, and at the end, the elder gave a slow nod. "If your intentions are true, then you may use them." With the Namekians' cooperation, the process went smoothly. One by one, the Dragon Balls were gathered without resistance, no enemies and no interruptions, just a fleeting hope. Soon, 6 Dragon Balls lay before them, and only one remained. Goku exhaled slowly. "We are close." Then, suddenly, the sky darkened. A massive shadow stretched across the ground as the earth itself began to tremble. Everyone looked up. A gigantic ship descended from above, far larger than anything they had seen before. It crashed down in the distance, with overwhelming force, sending shockwaves across the land like earthquakes. And then, a presence came out. Cold, heavy, suffocating. More powerful than anything Frieza had shown on Earth. Unbeknownst to all of them, it was King Cold. His eyes scanned the area calmly, yet there was something deeply unsettling in his expression. "So, this is where they ran to," he said. The Z-Fighters quickly landed near him, ready to confront this unimaginable force. "Just who are you?" Goku asked. King Cold ignored him, however. "I watched your ship leave Earth. I was curious where the Saiyans who had killed my son would go," he said with a pause. "However, I must admit, I did not expect Frieza to fall on a planet like that. But no matter." His energy began to rise, distorting the air around him. A cold smile formed on his face. "I will finish what he started." The Z-Fighter stood frozen, and even Goku felt it. This being didn't want a chat. He was only looking for quick revenge. Tien and Piccolo immediately stepped forward, launching their strongest attacks in unison, energy beams colliding with King Cold, erupting in a blinding explosion. The Emperor barely flinched. He deflected the attacks with a flick of his hand, and the ground beneath him cracked under the force. Goku powered up, his aura flaring violently as he transformed into Super Saiyan. His power level surged to 15 million, a number that would have been unthinkable before. Yet, it was nearly insignificant right now against King Cold's power. "Impossible," Goku muttered, realizing the gap was far larger than anything they had faced before. Even as he threw punch after punch, King Cold's sheer scale and reflexes allowed him to counter effortlessly. Tien and Piccolo were barely able to keep him distracted. Even the special beam cannon and the tri-beam were nothing more than nuisances to him. Tien thought about using the Neo tri-beam, but such an attack would leave him useless after just one strike, and he couldn't waste it like this. No, he needed a clear opportunity to use it. Meanwhile, Gohan moved swiftly across the planet. He focused entirely on the remaining Dragon Ball. His hands held it tightly. Finally, after a couple of minutes, he reached the village and placed the last Dragon Ball in the Namekian's hands. Porunga's massive form rose into the sky, his presence dominating the planet as the villagers bowed in reverence. Hope surged through the group. Finally, after all the struggle, a chance to restore their friends and perhaps turn the tide of battle had arrived. But just as the Namekians began the wish, a voice echoed suddenly. It wasn't from Namek or from Porunga itself, but through King Kai's words. "Gohan, listen to me." It was Raditz. Gohan's eyes widened. "Uncle?" he asked, confused. The voice continued, however. "Revive me. I have a way to kill that bastard." Gohan's hands trembled. He was supposed to wish back Krillin, the one who couldn't come back to life, so how could he do this now? The voice repeated the quest once more, and Gohan just obeyed, trusting Raditz as someone who could defeat this stronger enemy. And as such, the Namekians made the wish. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. And if you want to see what happens when Raditz comes to Namek, stay tuned for the next part. Until then, you can watch any of the cool videos on my channel. There should be 2 appearing on your screen right now.